What's up, YouTube fans? Today, we're going to take a look at the FansToys Grenadier, their version of a masterpiece Bombshell. So this is actually a reissue from 2021. The original release was in 2016 or 2015, and they did make some minor changes here. I'm going to point out all the differences in terms of what's been changed, including the packaging, everything. Speaking of the packaging, we always like these artwork from our friend Johannes Vinci, but I believe this box is identical with the exception of the year here. You can see the FansToys, like obviously that website doesn't work anymore. The other thing you get is the collector's card, which again is also the same. It says 2021, but everything else is basically identical to the old one. And lastly, you get instructions, which are actually different. So here are the old instructions. It says 2015, 2021, but the steps are actually different as well. And that's because they've changed the molding ever so slightly. There is a change, but the book itself is actually very different. So it looks like they rewrote this book and took new pictures or images. Some of them might be identical, but some of them are new. And I will point out the change in the transformation when we get to there. You also get 3 Energon cubes. These are identical, although I would notice that the originals are a little bit more clear and crisp, whereas the new ones are kind of like cloudy. I don't know if that's intentional or just the plastic they use, but slight difference there. But you still get 3 of them. You get the alternate toy style legs. This is exactly the same as the original. You get the orange chest piece, so if you want to replace it, you want the translucent, you can put that instead of the painted version. That is exactly the same. And of course you get the gun, and those are exactly the same. Here is the figure. He is of course very beautiful. You've got a lot of nice paint on it. So you got the gray paint here on the chest, the silver paint here in the middle. The head is painted with not translucent, metallic red for the eyes. Then you have some grayish black for the face mask, and then gray paint all the way up here, or silver paint down here, black paint on the legs, purple paint here, accents. I actually never noticed this before, but there is purple paint here on the inside of the legs, which I believe is the same as the original. I just didn't notice it. There's the back, not very clean. There is a lot of bug kibble back here. Let's go over the articulation on this guy. So the head is on a ball joint. So you can get it. It's a little bit limited because there's stuff around it, so just be careful as you're moving it. You can move this upwards and downwards. You can rotate the shoulder. Oh, I forgot. There's a little tiny bit of purple paint right there. The shoulders rotate all the way around on this joint here. You can go up on that joint right there, up and down. You have another joint here that can go up, so you can get it all the way up to there. Rotation at the bicep. Double jointed elbow, one here and one here, so it gets you the full bend. Rotation at the wrist, although rough, very, very tight, but it does rotate. Basically the same hands we get as the mini bots. These are really tight, but there you go. Pretty much exactly the same as what we've been seeing with the mini bots. Rotation at the waist, very, very tight there, but it does rotate. You have legs kick up to there, back to there, out to the side. That's all on friction. There's no ratchets in there, but it's very nice and tight, and it seems to hold very well. You have a double jointed knee, gets you the full bend. Really nice there. It's really, really well designed. You get ankle tilt out to there. This one's a little bit loose, but luckily it's on a screw, so you can just tighten that screw. You can see this one's a lot tighter. And then you get a little bit of a toe tilt down, and you also get a rocker here, so you can rock this down if you need to. Now you can't put the weapon in his hand here, so you can just get it pegged in. Just be careful with it. It's chrome, so you try not to scratch it up. Close his hand, and there you go. He's got his blaster there, and he looks really nice with that. And for a quick size comparison, there is Grenadier next to the Takara Tomy Megatron, and he comes up to about the bottom of his diaper there, and that looks good. You know, nice small guys, but still the right size for a masterpiece in my opinion. And one final comparison, there is Grenadier next to the original 2015 release of the purple T version, which is the toy version. Now, depending on the screen grab or where you saw him in the cartoon, sometimes he had gray, sometimes he had purple. Depends, you know, where you saw him. But if you prefer the gray, then this one is actually, just in the re-release, was $100 more, which seems crazy. In the original, they were both the same price. So you could just choose whichever you want. There are really no differences between the two color versions. In terms of between the two molds, there is a change, a running change I'm going to talk about in the transformation. There's a little tab here. We'll show that during transformation. But other than that, everything is identical. All the details, sculpt, paint, accessories, everything you get is identical, with exception to the one molding change that we're going to show you in transformation. All right, now let's get Grenadier transformed into his bug mode. So, relatively simple transformation, although there's some parts you want to be careful. Go ahead and take these arms, and they're just tabbed in right there. They just kind of sit there. Okay, so pull those out, up and out of the way. We're going to basically take all of this apart. So come to the front here and take out this chest piece and just let that sit down. Pull this out. That'll let you get these pieces up and out of the way. And fold these downwards. Then you're going to take the entire headpiece. Make sure you have this flattened out as flat as it'll go. Be careful with this. It's very thin plastic, so don't push too hard. Just make sure you're using caution with that. Go ahead and flip the head downwards. And then you can tab that in right here. Like so. And that should hold it together. You can straighten out this top part here. And then you're going to come back to the back here, take these two, and they're going to peg back in, and that holds it all together. Nice little design there. Right. Next we'll take care of the arms. So the arms are interesting. This is where the change is. So you can see there's a little tab right here. I didn't mean to do that. They are tight when you first take it out, so you're just going to grab here on the edge and pull down with your fingernail. I don't recommend using anything else other than a fingernail because you might actually scratch the paint. So just be careful with that paint there. You know, you got that silver paint. Once you get those out, that's going to release these arms. You can see they rotate, and it's going to open up a little cavity to rotate the arms back, and that's really what you need to do. All right, so get these arms rotated down. Same with this side. Rotate this back. Rotate it down to the onto his back, and then get this rotated down. You can see there's two tabs on the inside of the arms, so you're going to peg those arms together and get them centered as best as you can. Make sure the hands are closed. But yeah, get these centered in the middle of his body. And now we can take care of the legs. So come down to the legs. The legs are interesting for a transformation. I like it. Go ahead and take this part here. We're going to fold this down. Take this part, fold that inwards. Rotate that leg around. Fold the foot down. Same on this side. Rotate that leg down. Fold this around. Fold the toe. I said foot. Fold the toe down. Then come to the side here. Rotate this to the side. Fold this out, and you can see that's going to make a cavity here. And the cavity is so that you can take the whole thing and rotate it inwards. There's a couple tabs, but this one right here is going to end up going into the side of his abdomen. So get that lined up, like so. Same on this side. Rotate that in and get that tab lined up. And if it doesn't line up, you probably don't have this double jointed knee correct. Right? And then you do have to squeeze this together. It is a really tight fit. You got to really give it some, so make sure you have everything all lined up before you do that. And then you can squeeze it together. Right? This does slide back and forth, so just slide that forward and that's going to cover that slot there. Come to the bottom here, you're going to open up these legs. That's going to make his back legs. And then come to the side, and we're going to fold these down. These are going to tab right into the side of the arms. Sometimes they don't line up perfectly, so you kind of got to make an adjustment. But they should tab in just like that. That time was pretty smooth. All right, so both of those are in. Come to the sides here, rotate these arms out like that. And then rotate these to the front. And you kind of want it so they all sit flat on the ground. So just make an adjustment until you get them all flat. And there is Grenadier all transformed up into the bug mode. It's a really good looking bug mode. It's very cartoon accurate. Speaking of that, we'll put the cartoon over there. And I love it. It looks great. Now, whether he's gray or purple in the cartoon kind of changes, but overall the look of it is pretty nice. You do have quite a bit of articulation on this guy. Here's the back, by the way. Relatively clean. You can see little bits here for the knees, but overall pretty clean. You can articulate here. A nice tight joint there. You can also articulate here. So you can get this kind of however you like. There's the head itself with the quote-unquote eyes. And then this antenna or whatever this is. Then you get the rotation here at the leg. Rotation here. And then another rotation here. So you got plenty of movement. You can really just pose this however you like. For this leg, you get movement here and a rotation here. You can move that around. The back leg, you get a rotation here. And I do like that they're on screws. They are on screws mainly so you can take them off and replace them with the tune accurate ones. And you get a joint here and a joint here. And for a quick size comparison, there is Grenadier next to their recent Spindrift Minibot. I just want to show it next to another Minibot. Relatively same size, same height. A little bit bigger with the legs, you know, the bug legs. But overall, very similar in terms of scale to a FansToys Minibot. And of course, we've got to show it next to the purple version, the 12T. So obviously, only difference is the purple versus the gray. You can see it basically is identical. And like I mentioned earlier, the only running change is that little tab right there on the bottom. I actually forgot to push it back in, so don't forget to push that little tab back in when you're transforming. But that's it. That's the only change, a little locking tab for the rotation of the arms. This one, it's actually kind of a pain to get the arms to rotate. You kind of have to move it with your hand or use a spudger. Whereas this one, it works a lot better because once you release that tab, then the whole arm rotates. So final thoughts on the FansToys Grenadier reissue. I'll start with the positives. I really like the look and the paint on this guy. Not that that's anything new. That is basically exactly the same as the original release. I also like the running change they made with this tab here. That makes it a lot easier. It secures in better. It's easier to transform and it's more fun. And overall, I think it's a good looking Bombshell. Negatives wise, I think it's a kind of a mess back here. There's a lot of kibble and bulk both on the bottom of the legs and the bottom of the back of the back. And I think it kind of sticks out. And during my Versus video, when I did a comparison of the Bad Cube versus the FansToys Insecticons, I mentioned that I think the Bad Cube Bombshell has a lot cleaner sculpt and better engineering because they were able to figure out how to take all these arms and put it inside the back. And I still stand by that. And I saw a comment recently, somebody saying, you know, I'm an idiot for saying that it has a better sculpt. I still agree. I still say that it has a better sculpt based on this backpack. But with that being said, I'm choosing FansToys as my personal Insecticons for my collection. I just like the look and the feel and the overall quality a little bit better, even though it's not as clean on the backpack and on the legs. So do I recommend it? It's kind of a mixed bag. So if you don't have these already, definitely I recommend getting the reissue. The price is much higher, but it's way better than the aftermarket where you can get it on eBay or wherever else. So if you don't have it, I definitely recommend it. If you do already have this guy, I don't recommend getting the reissue. It's not really going to gain you anything other than that little tab, and it's not really worth paying the premium to just get that one tiny upgrade when everything else is the same. So that's really it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.